This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Stat Me Up for Media Matters by Anfield Index. As big as the title there is the transfer window coming to a close, ladies and gents. Liverpool might be about to get another one over the line, one that might actually be able to play in this season as well, so people will be excited by that. We'll also be talking about everything that happened against Brentford, so much to like. And we head down the East Lancs Road on Sunday, don't we, to play Ben Arne Slot's first experience of that, so we'll be talking about history. And of course, there's only one person who returned to history, statistics, hopefully nothing about that crappy 2021 season. It is Ben Bocsak. Ben, how are we?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I feel like this is the kind of moment we've been waiting for all summer. And now with just a few days, we actually are having that moment when Liverpool are active in the transfer market. We've got some good results and a big game coming up. So I think there's a lot of exciting things to talk about today.
Yeah. And normally, as you know, people, we talk about the game that's just happened. We talk about the game coming up and we save the transfers to last. Ben, I think they're going to lynch us if we don't bring the transfers to the first port of call, really, aren't they, in all honesty? And it goes past into the other bit. So, Federico Chiesa, I mean, literally, as we have logged on this pod, ladies and gents, it's been breaking, hasn't it, through Ornstein, all the patch journos. Chiesa is on a plane, on his way to do his medical, get all the bits completed. Suggestions of a fee somewhere around 10 to 11 million pounds. I mean, it's not in real world terms, but in football, it's cheap as chips, isn't it, realistically? Let's be honest. People will say, oh, what about the injury history? People will say, what a talent. People are going to say a lot of things about this boy, Ben, aren't they, until we see him. I mean, we talk stats. What do the stats say about Chiesa as a signing?
You know, initially, I think everyone's reaction was like, oh, this is like another Arthur Melo deal because we haven't heard of Chiesa since his ACL injury. But actually, if you look at the numbers and if you look at how he's been used at Juventus, which has been quite interesting as a second striker, when really he's more of a winger. So the fact that the numbers that he's recording, based on where he was used and based on how bad Juventus were last season, are actually quite encouraging. So I posted initially when the news broke about his shot creating actions. He ranked in the top 5 in Serie A for shot creating actions per 90, 4.79, which is a really high volume. I think he only registered 3 assists, but he's actually created a lot more chances, and you know, his underlying numbers are really good when it comes to that as well. He also ranks in the top 3 for carries into the opposition's penalty area, which again, that just shows he can get in and around the box. He's a real threat when it comes to sort of making an impact in the final third, and I think that's what Arne Slot wants from his attackers. He's what we've seen so far is Liverpool players breaking into the box and playing in and around the box and trying to create chances, and that's literally what Chiesa does. So I think all of that is really encouraging, and sort of went into a deep dive to watch the documentary about his ACL recovery on Amazon Prime, which is also a really interesting documentary. I think it's an hour and a half long. If you've got Amazon Prime, I really recommend watching it to sort of get an insight into his mindset, into the way he recovered from that very serious ACL injury. But then also, I think one thing that was sort of flagged up to me when I was looking at the Euro 24 statistics, I was looking at top speed, and obviously Chiesa was known as a player who sort of averaged around 37 kilometers per hour top speed. He could reach that top speed in his prime before his ACL injury. So he didn't quite hit that at the Euros, but he was the fastest Italian player. He recorded a top speed of 34.4 kilometers per hour. Obviously, this is a tournament, so that's still really fast. It's not super fast, but it's still really fast. And if you're looking at who had Liverpool's top speed at the Euro 2024, it's actually Liverpool's player from last season who recorded the top speed in the Premier League, Dominic Szoboszlai. And he also only recorded 34.5 kilometers per hour. So basically 0.01 difference between him and Chiesa at Euro 2024 when it comes to top speed. I also went into more of his top speed statistics, particularly from his first season back after the ACL injury, and in the Italian top flight that season, only Victor Osimhen recorded a faster top speed than Chiesa.
Wow. That
was the 2022-2023 campaign. He's sort of hitting the 36 kilometers per hour mark, which is still really fast for top speed. I mean, that would make him one of the fastest players at Liverpool still. Nunez, Salah, and Szoboszlai are the ones who kind of hit around the 36 kilometers per hour mark. So despite the sort of misconception that he's lost a bit of speed, I think the statistics would suggest otherwise. I mean, obviously we'll see how he adjusts to the Premier League. It's a different weight limit. But he only missed, I think, 4 league games last season. So again, injury-wise, he seems to have taken a better turn. I think after an ACL injury, it does take like a season or two to adjust, and that's how long he's had now. 26 in the prime of his sort of career. I think really this seems like really smart business for Liverpool for the amount that is sort of speculated about or rumoured about, as we discussed. It's basically Bobby Clark's transfer fee, as you said, off the podcast. And that is a really good deal for Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you could ignore that. And this isn't to be derogatory about Bobby Clark in any way, but I think everyone would know who they back to go on and get to the, whether it's return, you could say, to that level for Chiesa. Interesting. I mean, even now, literally quotes just flashing up from Chiesa. So if anyone was wondering when they hear this, these are the latest quotes from Chiesa. I'm very happy. I can't wait to become a new Liverpool player. Me and my family were so happy, really. Let me say thanks to Juventus and the fans. They've always been special with me. Now it's time for Liverpool. I'm so happy. I can't wait. I think that's pretty unequivocal, isn't it, Ben? We have a new winger on the way. And I suppose this bit of stats, because we need to bring it back to stats, otherwise we shouldn't make it just a transfer show. Ben, there's about 48 hours. I mean, just in case anyone wasn't sure, Friday, the 30th of August, 11 p.m, slam that window goes. I know, Ben, we're hoping, let's just lay it on the table. We're hoping still for a defender, a left-side defender, a DM. How realistic that is a different discussion, I suppose. But to try and give the listeners hope, do we do business traditionally in the last 40 hours? It's easy to go Liverpool plans ahead. Liverpool thinks X, Y, and Z. Is there any hope that we do business late on? Do the stats say that at all?
Well, we have in the last two windows. Obviously, Gravenberch was confirmed on deadline day last summer. Arthur Melo, which was a bit of a out of the blue one the 2 summers ago. So that has happened in 2 summer transfer windows now. Third time lucky, I suppose. It could happen. I mean, depending on when the Chiesa deal gets dragged out to it could be confirmed on deadline day. So it could technically be a transfer deadline day activity. But a lot of the reporting has been saying that Liverpool are still working on other deals as well. So just got to trust that is true. It's coming from Liverpool club journalists as well. And I feel like Liverpool wouldn't be briefing that to the journalists if they weren't actually working on deals. So I think we'll just have to wait and see. Historically, I think before Gravenberch and Melo, the last one was, I think Jota and Thiago joined quite late, but it wasn't quite the last few days of the window. Then it was Oxlade-Chamberlain. Again, that was a deal that was sort of dragged out until the final day. Liverpool had been interested. And that was just dragged onto the deadline day. And then, I mean, you can make a judgment of how successful these transfers were, but I made a list of them. Mamadou Sakho, Victor Moses, Craig Bellamy. I think I quite like that one, actually, when he returned. Yeah. It was a good signing. And Paul Konchesky, I think the less said about him is probably the better. But those were the sort of, from the 2010s era, those were the deadline day transfers in the summer transfer window.
Wow, Ben. A mix of almost inspired, brilliant moves, some with real potential, and some who will go down in possibly contenders for the worst 11 in Liverpool history as well. So a real mix. But we'll have to see, ladies and gents. We're all waiting for Chiesa to get done naturally, and then we will see what happens from there. So we've done the transfer bit for you. I'm sure you're watching as excitedly as us. But speaking of excitedly, Ben, Sunday, Brentford.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Deja vu to Ipswich, wasn't it? 2-0, goals from the forwards, Diaz and Salah this time, a clean sheet as well. I mean, for me, so much to like again about this. What did you think of the overall performance?
Yeah, likewise, I really enjoyed it. I think it was really good football. Again, like you said, it was very similar to Ipswich, where second half Liverpool dominated. So in the first half, it was only 0.72 XG. Yeah. And Liverpool recorded 1.94 XG in the second half. So again, probably a stronger second half performance. But overall, like, there was not too many issues with the first half either. I thought the first half was better than Ipswich. And I think the chances created was encouraging, 19 chances created overall. But even more encouraging for me was the fact that we've only allowed 5 chances to the opposition, which is really good. And I think Brentford are known as a sort of transition team who could have hurt Liverpool in the past, but they didn't really threaten. There was no real chances for them. And I think apart from maybe like a couple of set-piece situations, Liverpool were very solid defensively.
No two ways about it. And I know you'll have seen the stats. We've got the highest XG in the league so far, and the lowest conceded XG as well. There is so much to like. There really is, the metrics-wise. And there's a few players it's worth calling out, because some did shine, whether it's again or back in the team. So there's probably 2 it's worth mentioning. Luis Diaz. I mean, if you think about Ipswich, we said he was brilliant, wasn't he? But he missed the sitter. Everyone will remember that. I tell you what, Ben, he didn't miss the sitter in this one, did he?
No, he was really good again, I thought. And again, this time he actually had output as well. Maybe it's just something about Anfield, because obviously it was really good against Sevilla as well in that pre-season friendly and scored 2 goals then. So his Anfield record is quite good. Obviously created the chance as well for Salah's goal. So everything I thought was really good. Created the most chances on the pitch, won the most duels, drew the most fouls, and I don't think he actually put a foot wrong. Like, I know it's only 27 passes, but he completed all of them, which is quite rare for a player still, even if it's just 27 attempted passes. You tend to just misplace 1 or 2, but he completed all of his passes. So I think I can say with all the data behind me that he didn't actually put a foot wrong in this game. He was pretty good.
Which is pretty special. And to be fair, he's had a brilliant start to the season. And this one, the big metrics, a goal and an assist. So you can't ask anything more of Luis Diaz for there. And interestingly, despite all that, Ben, there's probably another player I think runs in close for man of the match. He was a beast in this one, Konate. I mean, what did the metrics actually say about his performance in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned, obviously, the defensive stability, and a lot of it will have been down to Konate. He didn't lose a single duel, which is, I think, quite important, since Arne Slot called that out after the Ipswich game, that Liverpool didn't win enough draws. Well, Konate won all of his, 4 out of 4. Pretty composed on the ball as well. He completed the most passes on the pitch, and I think overall just read the game really well. Wasn't troubled all that much, but when he dealt with it really good, and there's not much you can ask from him.
Yeah, absolutely sensational. And it's not about doing Jarell Quansah down to build up Konate. It's just that he was absolutely sensational. There's nothing more you can really say. And I suppose, I mean, we've talked about so much. Any other metrics worth mentioning, Ben? Because the stats for terms of the team and those couple of players are brilliant. Anyone else sort of shine, or anything else you think is worth mentioning at all?
I think we've got to highlight Gravenberch again. While he was on the pitch, he actually completed the most passes. Then Konate completed. They were joined, I think, when he went off in the last minute or so, and then Konate completed one more to beat him for the most completed passes. But he made the most recoveries, won the most tackles, now ranks number 1 for most passes into the opposition's final third for midfielders in the Premier League after these first 2 rounds. So it's early days, but really encouraging numbers. And I think the other one, which was a pretty crazy statistic, I think posted by Opta, was that Liverpool had a 92% pass completion rate. They completed, I think, 602 passes, which is the best they've ever had in a game since 2003. So, it was a really good performance. And I think already the encouraging signs is this is what Arne Slot wants. Short passes, quick, incisive passes. And we're seeing everything already 2 games into the Premier League season. And for me, that's really encouraging, because this is still not perfect. This is far from being perfect, but already there's really encouraging signs, and it can only get better. Yeah,
no doubt about it at all. The eye test is brilliant. The stats back it up as well. There is so much to like, and it might even be like more if we bring more players in before that deadline. This one, Ben, what a game this promises to be on Sunday. It's down the East Lancs to play them, as we know. It's the Super Sunday. 4:00 instead of 4:30. I'm not really sure what difference the police think that makes, but hey, that's a different conversation for a different time. There you go. 2 Dutch managers, different styles. The backdrop to this, there's so many stories and subplots, Ben, as we know, and we can go on about them, but it's about 3 points, isn't it, at the end of the day? Winning here would be absolutely monumental before the international break. I've got a nervous feeling that everything's been positive so far, and I'm going to ask you this. What's the recent record like at Old Trafford? I think you're going to sort of burst the bubble a bit here for people.
Well, first of all, about the 4:00 kickoff, I'm kind of glad because I think they just want me to be able to go to my 7 p.m. five-a-side, so I can make that. I'm not complaining with that. The last week, Brentford 4:30, that was kind of a bit short. I was about 5 minutes late, so I think this time around I'll be all right, which I'm happy with. But yeah, in terms of the Old Trafford record, especially the recent record, Liverpool have only lost one of their last 4 trips in the Premier League, that is, to Old Trafford. Some big wins, the 4-2 during that COVID season, which you said you didn't want me to mention, but I think that result was okay. And then the massive drubbing as well, the following season, 5-0. Then there was a draw, and I think the most recent Old Trafford trip was a defeat, a narrow 2-1 defeat. But overall, recent record is pretty good at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Before that, there was an almost sort of long route of bad games. So before winning at Old Trafford in 2021, Liverpool hadn't won there since 2014. That was when I think David Moyes was still in charge. Suarez was playing for Liverpool. Gerrard scored, I think, a couple of penalties. It was a really dominant performance from Liverpool. But historically, it's been tough. Just the recent memories have been quite good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mixed. I think it's fair to see. Last season, as we know, it probably hurt a bit, didn't it, Ben? That was fair to say because of what it meant. And obviously even the FA Cup, that hurt somewhat. And what also hurt was, it was at Anfield, but the one where we had about 86,000 shots on target that day, and they had Johnny Evans, who I believe is 67 at last time of asking, centre-back, and it finished 0-0. The final one on this, and this, I don't know if you'll be able to dig this out the stat pack, it is Arne Slot's first visit to Old Trafford, so it feels like when the last time a new Liverpool head coach went to Old Trafford, I couldn't even remember or tell you what Jurgen Klopp did in his first visit to Old Trafford. So it'd be interesting to see, how do new Liverpool managers get on in their first visit to Old Trafford?
Yes, I only looked at the Premier League for this, and winning at Old Trafford as your first game as Liverpool manager has never been done before in the Premier League.
Oh, God.
So Klopp drew in this first game at Old Trafford. Rodgers lost 2-1. I wasn't sure to include Kenny Dalglish, but I did because technically it wasn't his first game as Liverpool manager, but it was his first game in his second tenure. He lost 2-1. Roy Hodgson lost 3-2. That was actually a pretty good game, like in terms of excitement levels, and I think it was quite close.
Patrick,
and then Berbatov, scored an unreal goal. Benitez lost 2-1. Julio drew 1-1. Roy Evans lost 1-0, and Graham Souness drew 0-0 as well. So mostly defeats, but there's been a few draws. And I think is why it's important to note, like, in Premier League history, Man United have been so strong. Like, even, I think, during the beginning of Klopp's era, they were a different United compared to the United now under Ten Hag and the record that they have at Old Trafford in recent years. So Arne Slot will take encouragement from that because, first of all, he can make history. And on top of that, I think this is a good opportunity to be at Old Trafford. He's coming up against a manager he knows, he's gotten the better of him before. United are vulnerable. They will turn up for this game, but I think there's all the opportunity in the world if Liverpool play the way they have against Brentford and Ipswich to get a good result.
Yeah, fingers crossed. for this one. It does feel massive. It's the last game before the international window, isn't it, as well, for that 2-week break? So, yeah, there's a lot to hope for. And ladies and gents, there we pretty much are. There's plenty of stats. I know all the focus will be on the transfer window, which we've talked at. And if anyone's doubting that there's still time left to go, as we say on that, at the 30th of August, Friday, 11 p.m. is when that shuts. It's been a quiet one. It's not been the most satisfying one, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, for Liverpool fans, Ben? But if we can do a few more things like turn the Sepp van der Berg money into Marmadashvili, turn the Bobby Clark money into Federico Chiesa, we'll see if there's anyone else to join them. Or it leaves me to say, as ever, Ben, for the time, the stats and the insight, much appreciated, pal.
Yeah, a pleasure as always.
And ladies and gents, that was another Stat Me Up for Anfield Index.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.